you so much for staying with us, and it's always great to have you back. Well, champs may be over, but the debates are still running and raging at full speed ahead. It's time for another edition of Law and Order JA, and the question sent in to us today reads as follows. Are the rules applied to the Boys and Girls Championships too draconian for students at the secondary school level? Are we holding children to an unreasonable professional standard? Well, helping us ventilate these issues this morning is attorney at law Toni Smith, and we're going to discuss the rules of the track. Good morning, Toni, and how are you doing?
Good morning, and thank you for having me.
Very well. A little birdie told me that you were also a student athlete. True or false?
Through.
Through and through. And for which institution?
At the Campion College.
Campion College.
Right.
Who knew? All right. Lovely. Well, talk to us, Toni, and because, you know, the debates have been on, persons have been talking about the false starts, the rules in general. What say you on the matter, counsel?
Well, firstly, the rules that govern athletics in Jamaica at the ISA level would be the word athletics rules. Mm-hmm. And I think that's actually a positive thing because we're holding athletes to a professional standard. Mm-hmm. We're preparing them for the professional world. But we have to strike the balance between development of the youth and that professional standard, because the reality is they're still children. Mm-hmm. It's supposed to still be fun. Mm-hmm. So I think now we need to find out what could be a sweet spot, a good common ground.
So what would be draconian? Because I'm not privy to the rules.
Certainly.
I'm not familiar with all the rules.
Certainly.
Of the ISA Grace Kennedy Boys and Girls Championships.
Right.
So when you talk, well, these individuals are asking about draconian rules.
Right.
What are they talking about, really?
Okay. So
and what would be a draconian rule?
Okay, well, you mentioned false starts, so I will just start there. For instance, the World Athletics rule is that there are no false starts allowed in a race. So once an athlete is adjudged to have false started, that athlete will no longer be able to compete.
Right.
However, what I believe in terms of relaxing that rule, if possible, at the secondary level, would be, for instance, to impose that rule at the class 2 and 1 level, and probably allow for one false start in class 3 and 4 to allow to facilitate the youth development, and then also it would still serve the purpose of preparing them for professional athletics, because when they would have now risen to class 2 and 1, then the rule would be applied at that level. There are other instances where rules can also be relaxed, but I think ultimately applying the standard at World Athletics is still good, but we need to find, again, that nice sweet spot, that balance to help to, you know, alleviate the pressure from the athletes.
But I can hear probably the persons at ISA are, you know, saying that, listen, we're not here to relax the rules.
Right.
That students ought to rise to the occasion.
Certainly.
Many of them are on the cusp of actually leaving high school. Right. They're going into, you know, they want overseas scholarships. They want to run in professional circles. Therefore, you have to start training them from now.
Certainly.
So why not even just get them acclimatized from now? Because when they go out in the real world, that's what it will look like.
Well, I understand that, and that is a fair point. And that's why I started by saying I do support holding athletes to a professional standard, because we take track and field seriously. Yes. It's not just fun and games.
Right.
We want to ensure that we are developing the next generations of Shelleyans and Usains.
Right.
But that's why I think that the relaxation can be at a lower level, because ultimately, if there is any, and I'm not advocating that it must be done, I'm just saying let us start the discussion, because if there is any, then I really believe that it could just be at the higher level.
Right.
Where we implement it strictly.
Okay,
yes.
All right. So in terms of, you know, natural justice, right? And,
certainly.
What we call, you know, fair hearing, and of course giving due process.
Certainly.
Talk to us about that and how schools can ensure, because there are many schools who dispute or will have discrepancies with
yes.
Certain penalties that are handed down, right? Disqualification of a student for different reasons,
yes.
right? But sometimes schools are saying, well, we didn't have enough chance or enough opportunity to ventilate our issues. How do they deal with that, or how should schools proceed and deal with that?
Okay, that's an excellent question, and I think that we focus a lot on the technical aspects of the sport. So we have the good coaches, we have the good advice for the track and field in terms of preparation for competition. But I think to answer that question, ensuring that an athlete manager, for instance, a school manager, or even the coach, him or herself, is au fait with the rules of the competition. how many of these managers are actually reading the rules themselves? That is how they will know that they can have the right. There's a jury of appeal. They can lodge a protest. Can they ask for the athlete to run under protest? There are specific rules that state that, yes, that can be done, but not in all circumstances. If it is that, for instance, the race has been called to be a false start, but it was done under the use of the World Athletics officiating system, which is that technical system where they have on the headphones and they're listening out for that signal to say there was a false start. If it is used under that system, then the athlete cannot run under protest, for instance.
Yes.
But if it was not, with many athletes, with many meets, we do that without the official starting system, then the athlete could run under protest. But if the
What does it mean to run under protest?
Oh, thank you for that. Under protest meaning that you don't agree with the call, but you still allow the athlete to run and compete and finish the race, and then now you can make the determination after to see if they will be disqualified. Whereas if you didn't allow them to run under protest, then they would have just been out
disqualified.
Before. Right,
okay.
Certainly. But that application of that rule is very technical, and so if you did not know how it could be used in terms of having the knowledge either as the coach or the athlete support personnel, then the athlete would not have benefited from that.
So, Counsel, it sounds to me like as part of the cadre of persons that institutions have going to champs, they need a lawyer there.
Right.
Because, because a lot of these matters, if they had an attorney to advocate on their behalf, then maybe those, because if you don't have your lawyer, I may have my lawyer to defend my thing, acquire my thing, and write the letter quick and fast and quick, please and thanks and
raps.
Yeah, and you don't have yours, and then nobody talks up for you. Are you to blame me because I do my due diligence? My attorney or attorneys are there to advocate on my behalf, to say, no, actually, this was not done properly, or this was not adjudicated properly, so on and so forth, and have a rebuttal. Should our schools maybe think about that part as well?
Okay, I love that question, and not just because I have a passion for athletics and also because I am also qualified in sports, in sports law. I really do believe that the opportunity exists for that to happen. I mean, I understand that not every school may have that, the benefit of doing that, but even having a group discussion at the coaching level to say that, athletes should benefit from having the support of a J3 appointed attorney that would be able to be on the field or in the mix, so that person can look out for the interests of the athlete. Because independent of having their own attorney for each school, the idea is that we want to ensure that athletes get a fair chance.
Yes.
And when there is no person to advocate for them, then it's just really they're left to the mercy of the official. And so the balance, as you can see, it's unfair in that regard.
Yes.
So I really do believe that including attorneys, especially attorneys who have knowledge of the sport.
Like for example, you have an LLM in sports law. That's a master's in law.
Certainly.
Law.
Right. So,
very well.
So I really believe that using that knowledge to help athletes would be a positive thing.
Well, guess what? Maybe we need to have you on sports commentary or something. Over here. But thank you so very much for sharing with us this morning.
You're most welcome.
And that is something, that it's a cohort of persons can look into, as well as schools for their own benefit.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much.
Yes,
Lovely. That was attorney at law, Toni N. Smith, helping us to examine the legal side of track and field regulations. Up next, it's all about football. Yes, the Jamaica Premier League action continues with Dennis and Nathan bringing us the details for tonight's big match right after this.